Is friendship important to you? Is friendship important today in
Hmm.
our culture, in our environment? Do we need it? Can we trust it? Is friendship important to you? Mm,
There
this is
you
gonna
go.
be dicey. What you
This, whew,
think? This is gonna be dicey.
I think it's gonna be good. Let's go.
Oh
Let's
my God.
go.
If you real talk, you want to know how Kim and I feel about friendships in our life? What it's coming out. Oh, you want to hang on to all the good stuff coming out. Good, bad, and ugly of friendship. What does friendship mean? Is it important? Do you have it? Do you want it? Oh, all today. Because see, that's what we do at elevating and empowering. We do that real talk, and that's what's going to happen today. But along the lines, like it's called elevating and empowering, because we're elevating you and empowering you to live your best life. So we're giving you all the tools, we're giving you all the information, so you have everything you need to navigate and journey through this life to get to where you want to be. Because the avenue is to be peace, be authentic, and living your best life, because we know life is short. So we want to, what I heard, the real important thing, we want to live the dash, you know,
Oh,
live the dash. We always
what
get
does that mean?
born on that tombstone or anywhere in your obituary, born date, death date. What's between the born date and the death date? That dash. Live the dash. And so Kim and I are
Hmm.
trying to help you do that in the best way possible. So Kim, 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 friendship. No, it's gonna be juicy. What you think? How you feel today?
How do I feel today? I'm a little tired today, but I'm good. It's good. I'm so happy to be here. This is like my favorite part of the week is when you and I talk and get to do the show. Yeah,
Ooh, me too. Don't you love talking to our friends out there?
I do. And I
I love
appreciate all the likes and the comments. And
the love.
you and I have been getting such great feedback offline. So thank you to everyone that's
Yes,
given the
we love
positive
you guys.
feedback. It fuels us to keep going. Thank
Oh,
you.
absolutely. I love the positive, and I love, and like, we still want to open up like the questions and the comments and ideas that you want to talk about, want us to talk about for shows. Definitely just bring it to the table. We are at the end of the show, we'll let you know how you can get in contact with us, the Instagrams, the emails, and so forth. If you want to send us a private message. Yeah, we love you guys. So we trying to give it to you real. That's why we give you the show, we give you an after show, pre-shows, we give it to you, we give you so much information. And I love the fact that people are loving what we're doing and loving us.
Yes.
How
Okay,
could
let's
you
talk about
not?
friendship. Let's
No,
talk about
how could you
friendship.
not? Yeah, you said
Let's
let's
talk
talk.
about friendship.
Let's talk about friendship. All right, well, we know there's friendship, right? And you're gonna say, don't, we're gonna divide it, because there's friendship and then there's best friends, right? So we know that, as far as like best friends, that is like that deep trusting, safe space, supportive bond that we have with, someone, or, you can have some people, because you get more than one best friend, right? Being your authentic self, the one that you trust everything with, right? And then we have that friendship, outside of what calling it your best friend. That's almost the same, because best friends, you got the mutual respect, right? So the same thing with friendship. Friendship being two or more people, that share common, experiences and hobbies and so forth, which is why they can hang together and spend time together, right? But also the same thing as, the companionship and the support of one another, someone that you can really trust yourself with, right? Be full, you know, um, come full circle and just be everything. You lay it out on the line. And then I also, before we dive into it, want to also add on the tail end is the myths to friendship is they last forever. You can only have
Mm.
one friend, one best friend. Those are kind of, a couple myths that I wanted to say.
And also, I want to add that friendship isn't as important as romantic relationships. That's a myth to me.
Oh, I did see that. Yes. Yeah. I, I wonder, and I'm asking this question, and we're doing this topic. We talked about this a lot. Um, is friendship important? Because I think, me being an introvert, I don't experience friendship like everyone else.
Introvert.
I know you're, oh, wait, you're like all that hyperness. Oh, yeah, I'm so hyper, but
You're an
shockingly.
extroverted introvert.
It's funny you say, I guess I see myself so much as an introvert totally. Like, um, I am more um like a homebody, enjoy time with, myself, right? Like some good TV book, rather than being out, hanging out with friends and so forth. And I think also, um my I grew up with a value system that you can't trust people and you can't trust
Mm,
information with people.
okay.
My mom was huge about that,
Okay.
everybody's not your friend. They give you,
Which she was right.
yeah, you give them information and then it gets projected out to the world the way that they want to put it out there.
Right, right.
So I just come from a different, experience. What do you do? Because you have, your personality is just rambunctious. You're just, I know you're surrounded with tons of friends. So what are your bases, your feelings?
I think that's a misconception. I think a lot of it has that I'm surrounded by lots of friends. In my past, I've had lots of associates,
Hmm.
right? Particularly, living in the Bay Area of California, there's so much to do. And I was involved in everything and I knew everyone. And as I'm getting older, just like your mom, my Aunt Benny said, not everyone's your friend. And even today, I know a lot of people, but there's very few that I consider friends, probably
I
just on
agree.
one hand,
Yeah,
right?
yes,
And
yes.
I think a lot of that for me has come with age. It took me a long time to realize that. Um, and even now, people will call me and want to be friendly, your friends. And, I probably say this on every show, but I always need to clarify that I am very woo woo spiritual. So now my discernment has been so sharpened, unfortunately, from getting hurt by
That's
friends,
where,
by
yes.
friends and
Ooh,
romantic relationships, even
ooh.
my romantic partners that I thought were my friends. And then I realized, oh, he was never my friend. Or the women that were my friends, oh, she wasn't really my friend. They were just extracting what they could from me. So friends, so I
That's
don't have a
deep.
lot of friends. I don't hang out. I don't go. There are very few. My family is my friends.
See, that's what I
I
say. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have, and even then, not everyone. Just because you family don't mean we cool,
You
right?
break that down.
And
Break that down. That's true.
I think a good measure of who is my friend is when I get off the phone with them or after I spend time with them, how I feel. If I'm absolutely
Oh.
drained, you got to go. You got to go.
Because you find that, yeah, because you found yourself, you're supporting them through that whole conversation. It was something
Yeah,
they
and
brought
they're
to the
not
table they
filling
needed
me
from
back.
you. Yeah, they're not reciprocating that. Yeah, exactly. Do you find yourself like, you know, um, wanting that? Like I know it's so funny when I just said I'm an introvert, right? And I'm really good where I am with being home to myself, with my daughter, so forth. And then I have this beautiful time that I share with my favorite cousin in the whole world, you. Um, is that when I watch my brother have maintained his high school friends, or even further back, like, beyond high school, but he still has that circle of friends that he was with in high school, and now they're adults, they're in their
Yeah.
50s, 60s, and they still share that same bond. And it seems like it's even tighter, if it could have been tighter, right? They were always so tight. And
Yeah.
I watched them, like, if a family member passes, that group is with him supporting, right?
Right.
Or supporting each other. Um, if there's a wedding, if there's any type of big event, they come together and support each other. And I often sit back and go, man, that's pretty cool. Like, I
Yeah.
kind of wish I had that. Is that something
Yeah.
you had?
That's totally something. That's totally something I wish I had. I think for me, it's more community. I want that community.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I want a community, and as I say this out loud, I do have that. I just wish I had them in person. Like my community, like you, is in
Mhm.
Atlanta. Like my sister Michelle is outside
Mm,
of DC. I have
yeah.
friends in I have a friend in Arizona. I have a friend in California. I have a friend in Canada. I wish everybody lived close to me so we could all have brunch.
Well, see, yes, but no, but and I get that sense of community, but that friendship that you acquire at a young age, those friends that you manage to hold on to them and evolve and grow it in a different
Oh,
manner as
okay.
adult. Yeah, like
Well, I do.
someone that
Let
has
me
known you all your life and they're still in your life like to this day. Like I sit and what they like my brother's friends, they all know each other. They know what they need, what they want, when to show up, when not to show up, because they've known each other all their lives. And
right.
they're authentic. They don't change the game. They can be themselves because hey, I've known you all my life.
Right.
And
And
I
I do
get
have to say I do have that to a certain extent. I have a group of girlfriends who I met. It was all our first year working at the state house. I started, for folks I don't know, I have a bachelor's degree in political science, and then I started working in politics at the state level. So I have a group of Black women that have known me since like 22, 23. Now, we have gone long periods of not talking because someone would move out of the country, someone got married, and, we might actually go 10 years without talking. But then now we're all back together. And it's really nice because they knew me when I was bright eyed and thin and had the world they remember that Kim, that
yes.
and they remind me of who, not only about who I was but who I am now. And so it's really nice, and I can see that with your brother Rob,
Mhm.
my sister's husband Tony, who we just saw a few months ago.
Yeah, yeah.
He has a group of friends from college, same with Rob. Like
See.
if someone passes, they all fly
Oh,
to the funeral. If someone gets married, they're all there. If someone has a baby, they're all there. If someone gets a job promotion, they're all there. And they've known each other since, freshman year of college. And I'm like, that's nice.
yeah, exactly. And
That's really nice.
is it really common? Is that a common thing, or is that asking for too much? With listeners out there, because it is rare. It is rare that and it's also part of the myth that, you're going to hold on to your childhood friends. That's what a best
Mm,
friend is. That's what a friendship is, having someone from your childhood era, right?
yeah.
So, I mean, is that really common? Is that something expected?
I feel like it's expected, but it's
Mhm.
not, because as you just said, it is a myth that the person that you were cool with in kindergarten, you're going to be cool with at 60. Does it happen? Yes. Is it rare? Yes. And another question that's coming up for me is, the people that do have long friendships, is it because they're in closer proximity? Like you and I have moved
Oh, yeah.
around the country,
That's what we do.
around the world, and
Exactly.
so sometimes when you leave someone's space, like because I can't have brunch with you every Sunday, because we can't go shopping, because we can't go to the movies, because I live in Switzerland and you live in, Ohio, that I think that has something to do with it.
Because did
Because
you
you're,
find that? Yeah. Because
yeah,
did you find that most your friends today are who you've met in your lifetime today versus your childhood era?
I think
It,
both.
okay.
Both.
See, mine is not. Mine is honestly. I understood friendship better when I got into my career.
Okay.
When I was in my, I'd say late 20s, you know, I actually understood friendship better. I did not understand it
Tell
growing
me
up.
more.
Yeah, with throw a fish out bait. Um,
No, no, this is so interesting to me. Like, what made you understand friendship more
so,
in your late
so I,
20s?
again, our listeners have heard this on other shows, and just in case you haven't, I grew up in a domestic violent home, right? Um, and so, that was my first visual and experience of seeing uh, people relationship together,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
And it
yeah,
was dysfunctional,
yeah.
right? When you just, you're seeing that this should be a love union and it's showing a hate union mostly, right?
Mhm.
And it's physical. um, because you see that, and then as a child, seeing that every time my parents are fighting and I go into the bathroom and I say, I hate myself, I hate myself. I'm sitting on a
Oh,
bathroom counter, I hate myself, I hate myself. But at the same time, I'm also saying, please spare my parents. Please, when I come out of this bathroom, let them both be alive, right? Well,
yeah.
coming from that premise, right? And that life, that youthful life that I led, um, I always yearn for that love, right? I
Right.
want someone to love me, right? And when you come from that, wanting someone to love you, it comes in all inappropriate forms, right? You don't know how to accept the authentic one, the right kind of love, right? Because you get it coming at you dysfunctional in life, right? So if you grew up in a dysfunctional atmosphere, and then what comes to you because you're just wanting it so bad is also dysfunctional, throughout your childhood life growing. You just don't have the correct perspective of having a relationship. So basically, so not only that, when my parents got divorced, I lost my father's family because they were so angry at my mom. They did not have a relationship with my brother and I. So the same people who loved me when my parents were married and that I was used to seeing all the time, I would then, when they got divorced, go to a grocery store and see the same, aunt or uncle. And I'm like, not thinking anything's changed. And I'm like, hey, auntie, da, 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 hey. And they would walk by you like you don't exist.
Oh,
So then you're kind of
heartbreaking.
confused. So you thought, well, let me try this again. So you go to the next aisle and you're like, hey, it's, auntie, da, da. And they walk by you like you don't exist, right?
Wow.
That for a young child is crushing the spirit and the heart, you know? And those are your first relationships. So you're not going to be able to relationship with others very well.
Right.
So, that's why when I got into my late 20s and maybe even early 30s, honestly, um, I met someone at a job that saw that pain, right? And someone that I would always put into the history books. They came from New York City. They didn't know me from Adam. But we were trying to be friends, but I wasn't really a great friend. I'm not a great friend to be friends with because I come with so much pain. But it took that real person finally in my life to look and say, something's going on with you because I've done nothing to you. I'm really trying to be nice to you. I'm actually trying to be your friend, but you find every way to alienate me. And that's because I was afraid. I was
Right.
afraid. Everyone
You
I
had
get
fear
close
of
to,
closeness.
yeah, I get rejection, you're right. I get hurt. So I was like, man, yeah, you're cool. And I feel the same way you feel. But the moment that I accept our role as friendship, you are going to disappoint me. And I'm not going to allow that to happen. So guess what? I'm going to beat you to it. I'm out.
Mm,
We're done. You
right.
get 2 weeks. We're going to have time of our lives. We're going to be girl girlfriends. And I'm like, adios, amigos. I'm gone. Right. So that's what I'm saying. Why I didn't realize, and it took that first real person in my life because I feel like everyone else, as you stated, was there for their own reason. When you would get exhausted talking to them, they're young, they're navigating too, but they were there for their own reason. They're not
Mhm.
there to find out who I am, where I come from. The whole thing of when I say finding your
Be a
greatness,
true
you got to
friend.
find
Yeah.
out who you are, what your soul. but that person did. And that changed the whole mindset of friendship for me. Excuse me. That changed everything. So then after that person, I was able to look at others that came into my life to really assess, where do they fit? Are they an associate, as you stated? Are they going to be a friend? And I also just learned that friendship could be more than one person. It didn't have to be, because at along that time, being a person that has grown up dysfunctional relationship, I felt like one person had to be your best friend, and that wears a person down, because that you're
Mm.
calling them all the time because you're my best friend. You should always be there. You should be there whenever I need you. I'm choked up. Yeah, you should be there whenever I need you, but you're wearing that person down because you believe, oh, you're my best friend. It's only
Mm.
one person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm choked up. Hold on. This is real talk. So yeah, so then that's what again allowed me to open my heart up, open my mind up to see friendship roles in relationships differently.
Mm.
Pretty much, the person brought a healing moment to me. They don't know it, but they brought a healing moment.
Yeah. And I wonder how many of us do push people away because we're scared to get close to people, even non-romantically. Because
No,
a
absolutely.
relationship is a relationship, whether it's romantic or not. It's a relationship. It's two people trying to get to know each other and understand each other and be there for one another, right? And so
Right.
how many of us have pushed away someone that would be wonderful friend because we are scared of what's going to happen if they find out who I really am.
Right. I think too, we have to, when I said, hey, Kim, you know, do have that your friend circle? We talked about my brother, his friend circle. How much of it is our fault that we maybe the leading our lives introvertly from a
Mm,
friendship perspective? Because it does take work to
yeah.
build friendships, right? So how much of it is our fault, like we're really not doing the work because we may move as an introvert person, so we
Yep.
can't really give that much of ourselves, but we still want that, but we just the energy and the work that it takes. And that's what I find for me is I want it, but I just don't have it to give, which is why I'm in the situation that I don't have the circle of
Right.
friendship that I even carried from my childhood. I just don't put the work in for it. I move
Well,
introvertly in every way.
a few things you said, is it our fault? And I'm really speaking to well, all of us, the viewers, you, me. Maybe fault isn't the right word. Maybe it's more of, do we have a lack of vulnerability
Mm,
to let people into our lives to be our
mm,
friends, right?
mm.
And there's another thing, I know you're focusing on friends from childhood, and this is for you, for me, once again, for everyone listening. Though we don't have those friends that have known us since kindergarten, since high school, what about the friends that we have sustained over a long period of time? And I say this because you and I were talking about, I believe it's your daughter's godparents. I
Mhm.
would consider them very dear friends to you.
Oh, they are. Well, see, they came after that person at the job,
Yeah,
that recognized that there's something going on with you. You're pushing everything.
right.
They came after that point. So I was able to open up and really build a true
You're able to be
relationship. Yeah.
vulnerable.
So,
So
yes.
does it
Oh,
matter
they're
if
everything to me. Oh, my gosh. Like, yeah.
your friendships don't mirror your brothers who have had these friends since he was, 5 years old or 10 or whatever. And that's okay, because you do have friendship in your life in a very deep, connected way. And I think that is what's important, because you realize what was going on,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
healed from it. And for me, it's always quality, not quantity. And definitely talking to the young people out there, it's not how many friends you have, It is
It's
the
the
depth of
quality.
that connection. It's the quality. And just from what I know about you and your friendships, they are quality.
Oh my gosh, yeah, because it's very small. You know, my
It's
circle is very.
very
I've got
small.
one here in Georgia, right? And I got the married couple, right, with my three kids. I call them my three kids, right?
Yeah.
That lives right there in Columbus, right outside of
Yeah.
Columbus. And then I have the one in Texas, right? And so yeah, you know, my circle is very small. And you so it's so that's why I think when I was aware of it, when I had all the losses, right? From 2019 to this past February. And within those losses in that span, I'm losing my mom, I'm losing my niece, right? I'm losing my father, I'm losing my brother, like I'm losing my, nephew, great nephew, all these losses. And, I remember at my dad's funeral, I was like, I didn't bother me that anyone that I've grown up with, right, was not there to support me, to be there for me, because it was the ones that I have formed a relationship with in my early 30s, that drove in, right?
Mhm.
And I looked at that picture and I was like, oh my God, I understood my mother. But I want to
Mhm.
say that, but there was one that I did grow up with, the one that, had this pure heart, always had a pure heart, right? That you you don't see. It's always one you don't see when you grow up. You just laugh, you're young and all that kind of stuff. But when you get older, you do see them. Like I have one that is from my childhood that lost her husband, that has been by my side with every single loss. Now she is from my childhood, been by my side with every single loss. Like I love this person with everything that I have, right? And she lost her husband. So I try as hard as I'm an introvert, right? And I try as hard as it is for me to kind of, you know, show up with everything that I have going on in my life, right? I make sure that I try to show up for her, right? I
Because
make
that's what a
sure I
friend
show.
does.
Oh man, yeah. So I will say I do have one from my childhood that has shown up, and she's always had this pure heart, just this beautiful person, right?
Well,
But
to our viewers, what would you say is a good friend?
yeah, the circle's small, but it also took education. But I've got to say, and I've got to put out here, if we're talking, these are friends I'm talking about, but we're talking about best friend, right? What I've said, what that means, and what that is in my life, that is for sure. My mother was my best friend, and
Mhm.
not everybody can say that, and I am okay with
Mhm.
that, right? Because I've heard the stories, right? My mom was everything to me. She's the one I went to the movies with. She's the one I did everything with. My mother was the one, like, when it was time to fill your car up on Sunday because you're starting the work week, and she's like, I'll be back. I'm going to go get gas. I said, I'm going to ride with you because I don't want to miss a moment of communication that we have. So we're going to get in the car and I'm going to pump the gas and we're going to talk all the way there and back.
Wow.
My mom is the one I went to dinner with. My mom is the one I trusted everything with. She was my best friend. So when my mother passed, I was lost because not only did I lose my mother, the lady who brought me here, I also lost my best friend. And when I say she's my best friend, I really mean it. So it was huge loss, right?
Yeah.
So I just want to say that that's, you have your friends and then you have your best friends. And you do see that as a difference, right, Kim? Am I alone with that? Right, Kim?
I don't have a best friend. I don't know if I ever have.
Really?
Yeah.
If you look back and now, you can't say that you have a best friend. What does that mean to you?
Well, I had a friend. We're no longer friends. Which hurts my heart. And it is what it is. People outgrow one another. And she probably would have been, and this isn't too long ago, so I was in my 40s.
Mm.
She probably would have been considered my best friend just because she was a very, very good person and she, was there for me during very tough times. And I just like you, it's very hard for me to be vulnerable because of
Mm.
my past hurts, right? with
Wow.
with everyone. And you know, I don't know if I don't have a best friend now. There's been very few times in my life where I have had one person where I'm like, they're my best friend,
Well, do
right?
you think that you lost the best friend, this ending of this relationship, which we don't know if it's permanent, but do you think it's because, like I just talked about, um, you feel like the work wasn't done on either side or both sides?
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna take full responsibility for this one. I'm gonna take full responsibility for this one. I think a lot of it had to do with my lack of vulnerability. Like I'm the fun girl. Let's go party, let's go to the winery, let's go meet these people for drinks, let's go out to dinner. Like I knew everyone. Let's turn up. But when it came down to me really expressing my pain and hurts and what was going on in the inside, I'm
Do
not
you,
that person. I'm
Kim?
not that person.
Okay, see, do you? Oh my gosh, do you see how big that is? This is what I just experienced with my friend here in Atlanta.
Mm.
I actually said, this whole time, I thought we were best friends because she likes to refer to us as Oprah and Gail. And I said, I'm not feeling us as Oprah and Gail because I'm the one that I give you everything. I pretty much
Oh.
throw up on you everything that I'm feeling. You know me inside and out, but I don't know your pain. I don't know anything you're going through.
Mm.
When my friend here started a business venture, I did not find out about it until it was released. So I went in this little shell, and because she knows me so well, she goes, What's wrong? What's wrong?" And I said, "How come I didn't even know that this was even going on? That you were even thinking about it? There's no conversation that this is something that you wanted to do. You were starting, and we're supposed to be like best friends. Like you know everything I'm doing. You knew about Kim and I doing podcasts before it even got developed, and I know nothing. And
Did she tell you why?
you, what you just said. That's why you just made me just pop through the screen on you, right? Like because I was like, that's exactly what she said. I'm not used to being vulnerable. I'm not used to telling people how I feel. And what
Yeah.
you have to realize is friendship goes two ways. Like, why wouldn't you? You have to trust. So is it that you don't trust us
I
to
will say I
authentic?
can't speak to your friend. You know, I'll be vulnerable because I am a very emotional person, right? And I have no problem sharing, but it's to a certain extent. And I feel because in my past I have been hurt by
Mhm.
people that I considered friends. And this started very, very young. You know, people that I considered friends, let's say in elementary school, would make fun of me or say something racist, would flirt with my boyfriend, would say disparaging things behind my back, right?
Mhm.
Now I know that these weren't friends, right? But in the
Mm.
process of learning, you know, as we all do, in the process of growing up and feeling betrayed and not good enough around people that I considered my friends, it was just easier to shut down. It was easier to make friends and have associates and be friendly with a lot of people versus really being vulnerable and heart centered around one or two people. Because I'm not getting hurt again. Now I do have to say I have very dear friends in my life today where I have been able to be very vulnerable and they
So why
have.
not with that person that you
Well,
consider?
we're talking about, oh, because I'm a different person now. I have grown. We
Mm.
always say that you should learn from the trials and tribulations in your life. I have gone through, you know, you and I have talked about this. The last 14 months of my life have been the absolute hardest of my almost 51 years.
Mhm.
Harder than going through a divorce,
Yeah,
harder than my
yeah.
mom dying. I mean, this has floored me. But I always feel through trials and tribulations, you should come out on the other side better. A lot of people don't. A lot of people come out worse. A lot of people are like, woo, glad that's over. Let me do my life. I am a very introspective person, and it might take a while, but I hope to always have the wisdom and the knowledge to look at what I did wrong in that situation. And
Right.
now that I'm out of this friendship, and it was a very good friendship, and this woman, I wish her nothing but joy and happiness and money and abundance and wealth and all the good ice cream she can eat. Like, I wish nothing but love on her. But at the time, I wasn't in the place that I'm at now. And I could say that about a lot of friends. I was friends with, I was thinking about him the other day. It was
Mm-hmm.
a dear friend that I had known forever. And we actually stopped being friends because of a work situation. And I'm able now to look
Hmm.
back on that like, wow, I really didn't handle that well.
Did you make a phone call back, like just to
No,
clean
because
it,
I'm
you know,
also
clear?
at the point, and maybe one day I will. But I'm at the point right now, it's just not necessary for me at this time. In the future, do I hope to reconnect with both of these people I'm talking about? Yes. But in order to do that, I still have some growing to do. I still have some
And
growing to
that's
do.
it. And that's if you're interested in reconnecting. And that was my point. Like,
That
and,
too. That too.
yeah, calling back and, as you heal, remember when I said, I hate to revisit this. Remember I was a cheater when we talked about relationships and I called
Yeah.
all of them back and apologized.
Which
And,
is
but
wow.
yeah, same thing with friendship, right?
Oh wait,
Um,
hold on before you go on. I just have to say, like, because I just said, wow, you calling the people that you had cheated on, that you had betrayed, to me, that is the ultimate sign of growth. I am
yeah.
not, and I applaud you for that. And anyone else that's listening to us that has gone back to someone that you have hurt and said, I'm sorry. I think that's amazing. And I will be very honest with you and our listeners, I'm not there yet. I am not yet there to call these people and say, wasn't the best friend. Like, I wasn't a horrible friend, but I wasn't the best friend. And you didn't deserve the ending that we had. And I'm sorry. I'll be honest,
Yeah.
I'm just not there yet. I haven't reached that level of growth yet. Hopefully soon I can be like you. Hopefully.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
still have too many insecurities and I'm just not ready. I'm just not ready. And
Yeah. No, no,
I'm
that's
really
acceptable.
honest with
Yeah.
myself about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think, and I shouldn't say if you are interested in reconnecting because those that I called, I wasn't interested in a reconnection. It was just a part of the healing process,
Right.
right? When
Right.
because you know how I move. I like my cousin, your sister Michelle's like, oh my God, she's such a great person. She never says a bad word about how I move through life, loving people.
Mhm.
She just makes me feel all warm and fuzzy when she does, and I'm like, are you biased because you're my cousin? I did your
Yeah.
hair when you were a baby, and
Trust me,
and I'm like,
trust me.
but,
She is
but
not, she will tell it like
she
it is.
she does. That made me, oh my gosh, that just did my heart good because that is how I try to move, right? I love people so much. As introvert as I am, I love people so much. So, not that my interest was not reconnecting with the individuals, but because I have love for people, I wanted to be a part, not to say they were going through a healing process, but just in case, I want to be a part of their healing process to say, it was not you, it was me. I am so
Right.
sorry. You are a great person. Keep moving how you move, but just be more aware of who you are, relation with and connecting with, so that you don't find yourself in a situation that you found yourself in with me, right? So I'm
That
hoping that
takes
I
a
can
lot
heal.
of
Yeah.
I feel like that takes a very enlightened person to do that. Because if one of my exes today called me and said what you just said, like, I wouldn't want to get back with any of them, but
Right.
my heart would, I would feel better. So I know oh, I'm glad we're having this conversation, because me reaching out to these two former friends, it is the right thing to do. I am not enlightened like you. I don't even know how to, you're going to have to coach me. I don't even know how to broach that subject,
It's
because
a
it kind of brings me shame. that we ended the way that, and
Right.
nothing, like there was no huge blow on either of our parts with both of these friends. There's no huge blow up. I hate you. I
Right.
didn't sleep with their husband, or, I didn't say you're stupid. It was just, we just stopped connecting. And it really hurt at the time. It really hurt at the time because these were two friends, and it happened around the same time, like probably within a month or two of each
Oh,
other.
wow. Too close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of it has to do, I'm not putting it on him, but a lot of it had to do with the person I was dating at the time. I don't think that they really uh thought it was a good relationship, which it wasn't, right?
Ah,
And they didn't say that. They didn't say it. They kept their
right.
mouths shut. But I think me being in that relationship and giving so much to this particular man actually impacted my platonic relationships. One was with the woman and one was with the man. And we said earlier, like at that time, I really valued my romantic relationship more than my platonic friendships. Now I
Mm.
know. Now I know romantic relationship and friendship should be on the same, plateau, if not more. If the
I-
friendship shouldn't be higher than a romantic relationship. And then also, I say my next romantic
Oh,
relationship, this person is going to be a friend, not a best friend, but we should be able to be friends before we get romantic. And I've
yeah,
never
that's
had that.
see, that's the thing. It should be friends first. You know what I mean? Be
Should be.
first before you're into anything else, because at least here, that's not to say that the relationship is going to survive just because, oh my God, you guys are
Yeah.
so good friends or whatever, but you're going to come out
Because
good.
I'm
You know,
noticing the romantic relationships I see, they're really good friends.
but yeah,
We
make it
can fit.
good.
I'm
Make it
gonna say
good.
this, like Michelle and Tony,
Mhm.
my sister, your cousin, and her husband, they see, and I don't know, I don't know people behind people's relationship. Behind closed doors is always another thing. But they seem like friends. And other couples that I look up to, even let's say like Michelle and Barack Obama, they seem like they actually like each other. Like they just would like to hang out.
Kim, Megan Good. Have you heard how she talks about her ex-husband? She was like, people really trip out when they come together. They're like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? She's like, they're always like all tensed up. And she's like, they go up
Yeah.
to each other like, hey, what's going on? Oh my
Oh, they're
God.
good friends.
Yeah, she's like, we were friends before we got married. We were
Okay.
friends in the marriage, although we had issues in the marriage, we were still
Yeah.
friends throughout. When we were divorced, we still managed to
I
maintain.
love that.
And that's
I love
you have
that.
good relations with people. She
Yeah,
is
I
an
love that.
example. Her relationship is an example. I love to hear her speak because that's a platform. That's how we
I
all should.
love Megan Good.
Mm, you
To know
know,
about her current marriage, but that's none of my
give
business.
it.
But I do love Megan Good. I do love
Yeah,
Megan Good.
right.
Megan, if you out
So
there, I love
but,
you, and I think you're beautiful and a great actress.
yeah, and she's exactly
Let's be
right.
friends.
Right. You are, you are hilarious. Yeah. No, I love that about their relationship, that they're
I didn't know
able,
that. That's
and we
awesome.
often walk out of a relationship, because I know that I've been in relationships, there, like I said, not every call went well, right? I
Oh
made a
yeah, yeah.
call where, they were just like, you treated me, I really care for you, and I don't believe
Yeah.
you, right?
That had to be
So,
hard.
yeah. So, and the thing is, I could have reverted back and said, well, I don't care if it could have been
You,
horrible,
yeah,
right? But I said, I understand. You're still moving through the pain. And I
yeah.
accept that and I understand that. All I can do is offer to you. It wasn't you, it was me. It was me. And I am so sorry. And I am here. And whenever you want to circle back around and we need to have this conversation again, and I can continue to help you heal through it,
You're
I
gonna
am
make me
here.
cry.
No, I am here. So you gotta take it because I gave it, right? So I gotta be able to take it and still be able to say, but I still got you when you're ready. I'm
Mm.
okay with taking all the dagger. You're nothing, you have to take you're nothing, you're crap, and even though I'm like, I know I'm not crap. I know I'm good, but you take it all and say, yeah, I did this. I did this.
I have to say, like, this show episode, this conversation is it's moving things around in me. Like, you are convicting me. Like I told you about these two friends, and it's been maybe 3 years since we talked, maybe a little over 3 years. You're really convicting me that, wow, maybe I should reach out, right? And also, maybe I should be
I
a
love
little
it.
bit more vulnerable in my friendships. I hope whoever's listening is also feeling something in their heart, because you talking to me about your friendships and healing and even reaching out in your romantic relationships, I'm like, "Oh my goodness.
And you got to be
You
willing,
did it. I could do it." It's
right?
scary though, right? Was it
But
scary?
Kim, yeah. Oh, yes. And Kim, you got to be able to accept what they give back, right? And
Yeah, yeah,
once you get to that point where you let it, and it doesn't impact how you feel about yourself, right? It doesn't
yeah.
impact how you move because you are healed, right? But you got to give
Well, I'm
them their
healing.
time, their
I'm healing.
space, right? Right. You give them, you know, their space, their time to heal, right? You got to let them move the way that they need to
Ye
move, and you
Thank you. And these
accept
are
it
really
because
good
you're a part
people.
of the reason they are in that place, not
Right.
the sole part, because they too come
They
with
too have,
issues.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And for me, I'm gonna be very honest, it was on my part, the lack of communication, because I run from conflict. I run from confrontation. I'm
You
like,
don't like comfort. I don't. We talked about that. We mirror that because I do not like confrontation. I will run from it in a heartbeat. Yeah, and
but
I
I
think
think
because we're so heartful. You know what I mean?
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with our heart.
But you and I talked about it when you mentioned we should do friendship. And I said there was a post-it on my laptop that said, I'm trying to remember, it said, there can be no deep intimacy without conflict.
Oh,
So if
I
I'm
saw.
always there can be no deep intimacy without conflict. So if the first time there's conflict and I run, or you, dear listener, run, there we can't move through that to get to the deep intimacy, which is what you and your friend, you said in the beginning that you had this
Exactly.
friend that was like, why are you shutting me, like she was the one that initiated conflict.
Right. We're
Well,
right.
she
We're
not conflict, she initiated talking about the conflict.
and
And
not
because
running
of
the other
that,
way.
you two are so
Yes,
close right now, so
exactly.
close right
Because
now.
all of my childhood friendships, when I come in that manner, they're like, "You tripping? Yeah, I'm not." They weren't interested in,
Mm.
and so it was just perfect as to they further cemented the premises of what I felt, all my life with relationships, right? So they didn't really care. She cared.
Do you think in a lot of relationships that there is that one person that advocates more for the friendship than others,
Oh yeah.
like your friend, like you and your friend?
Oh yeah.
And maybe we just haven't, maybe people like us who are like, I'm not dealing with conflict. Maybe if there is someone that's brave and courageous that says, we're going to talk about this and we're going to move through it so we can have deeper intimacy. Come on now. Now I know who I
100.
need to be. Now a 100. Now, girl, this conversation is I feel like this is therapy, which is your background. I feel the check is in the mail. I'll send you your therapist fee.
Like you're
I'm realizing this is who I am growing to be in friendship. I need to be the one that's like, hey, I didn't really like when you said that, or hey, this person is abusive and I feel like you deserve better, or hey, I think you're taking advantage of me. Can we talk about it? But that's
let me
so
tell you.
hard.
Let me tell
That's
you.
hard.
Let me tell you when I realized I was finally showing up and valuing a friendship is when I had that conflict and I didn't run. So my friend here
Mm.
in Atlanta, um, when my mom passed, I already lost my best friend, right? So I was in a lonely state. Well, decided they wanted to have a relationship with my brother, right? And I
A
was,
romantic,
and
a
so time,
romantic
yes,
relationship?
a romantic
Okay.
relationship, yeah. And I was like, no, I need you. And, my brother, he obviously needed someone. So the more time was spent on my brother's relationship. So when it
Oh,
came around to Mother's Day, my first Mother's Day without my mom,
yeah.
my friend decided to go to Ohio to be there for my brother versus to be here for Nori and I, right?
So
Me and
you
yeah.
felt
So I felt, yeah.
betrayed.
So I was like, you're no kind of friend. You're done. I'm done with you. Your relationship with my brother's not going to let. It was just a horrible thing, right? Without just putting everything out there. And I was like, I'm done. I don't ever want to speak to you. And the funny thing about it is, and then I also didn't speak to my brother because I felt like this is crap, right? But really,
That
I'm
hurt.
still grieving and hurting from losing my mother. And that was my anger phase of striking on both of them, right? But I managed to reconvene my relationship with my brother faster, right, than with her. Like we were good. We started, and I told him my pain and my reasoning and all that, and we just grew back. And me and my brother ended up being fine because, of course, without a relationship with me, he wasn't having a relationship with his niece, Nori.
Right. Well,
Okay,
and
so
your
then a
brother,
year
hold
later,
on, hold on. And your brother loves you probably more than anyone in the world, like besides his children.
we are glued.
Let's
Yeah, we
let's
have
put
a
that out there. Let's put that out there.
yeah, that is true. So about a year or two, I say 2 years later, we were still not talking. She actually loses her father, and I
Oh,
couldn't be there for her because, definitely like she was there for me. Because let's
yeah.
back up. This friend here, I was in such despair when my mother passed that I didn't even know where the ambulance took her. I had no idea. I didn't know her status or nothing because she died at home, right? She had a massive heart attack right in front of me. And I didn't know. It took my friend here that drove. I was on another side of Atlanta. We are an hour apart. That's how big Atlanta is. We're an hour apart. Drove way in the nighttime, way out to my house. Tried to figure out where they took my mom. Drove me there. It was the height of COVID. They weren't letting people in, and I got in, and I spent the time looking at my mother not being here. And she came in and she sat there with me talking to my mom, and my mom's dead,
Her
and
past,
rubbing
yeah.
on my mom and just talking to her because I just didn't understand. And she tells me after that, I don't do people who have passed away. I'm never good in front of a
Mm.
body. Like I was inside freaking out. I wanted to scream because I've not been in front of a dead body like that. And it's right there. And I'm like,
This is
not,
your friend
but I
talking.
cared that much for you that I was there for you as you're doing that, knowing I'm screaming. Like my mother, she said her mother couldn't believe she did that, right? So I wanted to say she was there for me losing my everything, right? And I wasn't able to be there because of the conflict for her when she lost her father. And I was upset she didn't even call me. So the long story short, it's already long. Um, that 2 years after we weren't speaking, I placed the phone call. Me, who never do that really, right? Because I don't reach around and try to, bring back in a friendship. And I called and I said, please don't hang up on me. I'm wrong. I was wrong in this whole situation. And this is why I was wrong. This is how I moved. I am sorry. You are the best friend I've ever had. I should have never moved. I was so hurt that you were not there for me during a critical time in my life. It was but you were there for my brother. And you were my friend first. You know, we go away. Like I expected you to be there for me, but I understood how you were moving and why you made the decision you made. And I understand if you do not want to reconvene our friendship because I was horrible to you. But I hope that is not the case because I love you and your friendship matters a whole lot in my life. And she cried and she said, this was the best call ever because I don't know what life is like without you. And we were like, boom, right?
Now that's once again, there can be no intimacy without conflict.
Correct. Yeah. So that's
That's
what I'm telling you,
beautiful.
listeners. If the other person doesn't pick the phone up to call, you pick the phone call, pick the phone up and call. Somebody has to make the phone call,
You're
right?
right. You're right.
And
Especially if these are good people. Now, there are people that are friends and you're just
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
They're
yeah, yeah,
they're not going to enhance your life in any way. But if
yeah,
they're
exactly.
good, heart-centered people and you two just couldn't, at the time work out whatever this conflict was. And sometimes it's not even a conflict. You just kind of grow apart and you're like, why did we grow apart?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. So I just think, yeah, that I just think that matters. We say
Mm,
that with everything. Why do they say communication is the key? Communication is everything. But
yeah,
yet we don't do it. We don't do it in romantic relationships. We don't do it in friendships. We don't do it on our jobs.
you're right.
That is the
I, I
premise
think
right
I think
there.
because it's difficult.
Yeah, but
There's a lot of not excusing it, but there's a lot of fear in communicating. You don't want to say the wrong thing. There's vulnerability, there's emotions. And honestly, sometimes we think it's easier. It's not easier, but sometimes we think if we just ignore it, it'll
yeah,
go away. But it doesn't because it builds and it becomes trauma and
fear is our worst enemy.
yeah, it
Fear can kill
is.
you.
You're
Fear
right.
can have you lose everything. If we could just get past, and I think that Kim, that's why we move all over the place and just be like, yeah, well, whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
We have no fear, but I feel like we have
In
fear
this, yeah.
wrong,
Yeah,
right?
we don't have fear in like moving to a different
Yeah,
country or moving to a different state but we have fear in other aspects of life.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah, you're right.
So, and we
Now we got
just,
to do a show on fear.
I I want to because we all move in that manner in some sort of fashion or way. We
Yeah.
move in fear. And fear is just destroying some parts of us and some aspects in our life. As we got to deal with it. We've got to deal with it. Fear is the enemy. Thou shalt not be
Yeah.
feared.
And I always hear I listen to a lot of business and entrepreneur motivational podcasts, and they say sometimes the fear doesn't go away. You just have to move through it. You have to
Yes.
do it anyway,
Oh,
despite the fear.
absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
maybe that is like the lesson, at least for me today, is in nurturing friendships, having friendships, and also looking at past friendships. That fear is going to be there, like making a new friend, being vulnerable with
Yeah,
a friend,
right.
reaching out to an old friend. But maybe, like I said, this lesson is for me as well as everyone else. Sometimes you just got to move through it, through the
Exactly.
fear
Yeah.
to
And
get to the outcome.
you do. You do. It feels so uncomfortable. But
Yeah.
so does Novocaine, the shot when you have to get a feeling, but you
You're
got way.
and
So,
it's quick. The
oh,
Novocaine, it's a
so
pinch.
the fear of having a baby, but there's nothing because I remember having Nori. I'm like, can we figure out another way? Can I throw her up? Can we figure another way to get this baby out of me? Because the fear of going through child
Yeah.
labor, but you
And let
got
me ask you, you would do it
that.
again?
Oh my, right, right.
Because viewers, I have two sons. I don't know, did you do natural? I did natural
No, I
childbirth,
had a
no
C-section.
drugs.
Yeah. Oh no, I
And
didn't do. I had a C-section, and I had to do
oh
the
yeah,
spinal
yeah,
tap. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, we got to do a whole show on how mothers are oh my God, superheroes. You had a C-section. People,
Did you say
let's
you
just
did yours natural
yeah, I had both the boys natural. The
without?
point, yeah, with nothing. And I have a lot of mothers that are like, oh, I wish I could have done it natural. I wish I didn't have drugs. I wish I didn't have C-section. Do you realize I don't think our society values cesareans? Like when a man has open heart surgery, we're like, oh my God, open heart surgery, which is a big deal. But when women have cesareans, no one's like, oh my God, she had a cesarean.
Right.
We have to do everything possible to make sure that she's comfortable, that she It's like, oh, you had a cesarean? Oh, when you coming back to work? No one
Right.
ever asked a man, oh, you had a heart attack? When you coming back to, not a heart attack, you had open heart surgery? So anyway, we're totally going off topic. I am totally going off topic, but I have to say that to you and all the mothers out there. My mom had a cesarean. Literally, let's start thinking about this as the equivalent of open heart surgery. Someone
Yes, we got to talk.
open, it's like 5 layers of skin and tissue and
Oh,
someone, it might be more,
yeah.
someone cut open your womb to deliver a human soul.
And said, don't try to drive a car. And I said, because your muscles, because they've cut your muscles, right? And I said, whatever. And I did try to get out, go get some formula for Nori after going home from a C-section. And they're right. The car was at the bottom of the driveway. My muscles could not push the
Yeah, yeah,
accelerator. It was left there. Now, there's
because
so much to get, but we are going off. Oh my
someone
God.
cut you open
Yeah.
with a knife to pull out a human. Okay.
Okay,
Anyway,
we got so much.
getting back on the topic of
Okay,
fear,
back to
the pain of childbirth was really, it really hurt. It was the most pain I've ever had in my life. And I would do it all again because the outcome was so beautiful, which is
So
my
why
kids.
can't we do it in friendship? Let me just say to all the friends that may be listening that I grew up with, a part of what I feel like we don't have that level of friendship or we're not in each other's lives was a lot of part of me, right? Because like I said, it takes, you know, two parties to work. So I want to make sure that, and me being an introvert and so forth and not doing the work and just not being my true self. I was not my true self in my young life at all.
Well, and that has nothing to do with you being introverted. That has nothing
Oh, that's true.
to do.
But, yeah.
It's growth.
Yeah. I never allowed anyone that I grew up with to actually know me, right? So how do you really form a friendship, right? So you know, that the friends I have now, I say are lucky because they get my true self, my authentic self, right? And I just love that. I also feel like Kim, because I think we mirror this. Maybe it was really harder for me to bond and have friendships when I was younger because I was always seen to be weird and quirky.
Yep.
So I didn't
Me too.
blend. I didn't blend with a lot. Like I probably blend more with nerds. I would say they call them nerds, right? But they're really highly educated. I blend more with them who always stand alone anyway, right? They were always stand out more than I did with the more even though I was a break dancer and all the things, but I think I moved through life silent because
weren't you homecoming queen?
I was not homecoming queen. I was a runner up. I think, and you know,
So
it's
you were
so
on the court.
I still
Yeah.
question that though. That's so funny because I still question how because I was so quiet moving through my childhood through all of my levels of school. I was so quiet because of the growing up the way
I
that I
don't
did.
remember you being quiet. I remember you being so outgoing and
See, and
extroverted.
some of the parents, when they see me talk now, they're like, wow, you never talked. You never talked.
Oh, okay.
I danced. That was my form of communicating and connecting with people was through dance. And you got it, baby. Yeah, you got it. That was the way, right? So I was but I had problems trying to actually articulate the proper communication with people my age.
But you were a kid.
I know, but they did well. Like, I mean, I guess.
And I felt like you had a lot of friends.
It looked like I did, but
yeah.
I think it was more one-sided. Like, I didn't really feel comfortable doing the same things that they did. I did it, but I was never in my comfort zone. Like, it wasn't really who I am. And I think
so maybe they just weren't your people.
Yeah, true that. I think one of my friends that I consider I was close to that lived across the street from me when I was in high school, middle school, high school. We went together. I think she realized that, you know, I didn't mesh with the group. And so we end up starting to do things together more. But I was not really invited to the group functions because I would stand alone, right?
Mm-hmm.
I today, of course, I would not care because I love who I am, quirky
Exactly.
and all,
Right,
different
right.
and all, because you realize that it makes you, it's who you are. I want people young to realize that. And that's what I say to my daughter all the
Yes.
time. You know, embrace your difference.
Be
You,
yourself.
yeah, I love everything about you. And if someone does not embrace your uniqueness and who you are, keep it moving, baby.
Yeah.
Keep it moving because God created you perfectly just how you are.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so that's the thing that everybody, you know, have to realize when they're meshing with others. Make sure that, you know, you all are accepting each other for who you are, being your
And you
authentic
can't
self.
force friendship.
No, exactly. I think I tried to do a lot of that. I tried to do a lot of
I think a lot of us do because we want to fit in. And like you're saying, like you're telling your daughter, to me, what I've realized, if I show up as authentically as possible to people, that is a protection for me, right? In the past,
yeah.
I always tried to be everything for everyone. But now, if I
Mm,
show up
interesting.
weird and woo woo and quirky and black power and all the things that loud, and if I, everything that makes me, then other people see exactly who I am. And then they have the choice to be like, can I vibe with that or can I not? A lot of people can't, but the people that can,
I love
those are the
that.
gems, those are the diamonds, and we all deserve that. Instead of trying to fit to make ourselves be liked by everyone, and then
Exactly.
we're not happy.
Well,
Just
is
like
that
you and
why the
me in the high
culture is
school.
the way? Is that why the culture is the way? Do you think the lack of authentic friendships is the reason why we're wanting all the likes on all the social media we're looking for because we're just looking for someone to love and like us?
Yep. Yep.
Mm, deep.
Yep. It's almost like we want to be the popular kid in school, but we're pretending who we are. Because
Mhm.
think, and let's just talk about the high school would it be metaphor or analogy? Anyway,
I like it.
like in high school, there were the popular kids, right? Let's say in the movies, it's always like a football player, cheerleader, right?
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
everyone likes them and looks up to them. They're attractive, they're whatever. But you always, when, as now that I'm older, I look at the people who were the most authentic. They were not the popular ones. They were the
Mm.
people that followed, they dressed how they wanted to, they talked how they wanted to, they had friends in different groups. Like they weren't trying to pretend to be perfect, right? And I think back and I look at those people now, and those people are the ones that are the most successful, whatever success means to me, right? Like they
Yeah.
are living the life that on the outside, because like I said, you never know what's going on the inside, but they look like they are living the most fulfilled lives because they are authentically them, versus the people who were the popular ones, um typically aren't living the successful life in my terms, because they seem very unhappy, maybe
Mhm.
because they were pretending to be something they weren't to garner all of that popularity and attention. Not always, but, and social media, I think, mirrors that. We all want to be the popular kid. I would rather have 100 followers on social media that freaking love me, and they love that I'm weird, and they love that I'm quirky, and they love
I
that I'm
would
nerdy,
too.
versus
Yeah.
having 1 million followers that are just like, yeah, something about her, I'm not really feeling her.
Yeah. Well,
Like, I don't
you know
want
what
you
I've
around
always
me.
noticed? I've noticed too that that popular high school person with all that might have been on homecoming court or the famous athlete or whatever were really feeling alone, like they were really
Oh,
alone. They had
wow.
all this attention, and you look at them like they're Oh my gosh, they're just everyone just loves them, but they themselves felt alone.
I'm so glad you said that. Can I share a story?
Sure.
Um, I was in college and I did like it was like a scholarship pageant. Basically, it was a beauty pageant. I think I was like a junior in college. And I will never forget this. I won, right? And I was pretty popular in college. And so I won like the tiara, the flat,
Yeah.
like I like everything. And I remember, I'll never forget this. I remember going back to my dorm room alone. I didn't do no one took me out and I don't actually even know why. Like no one took me out to celebrate. None of my friends came over and we were like, and I had really good friends then. And I just remember sitting and I had this tiara, I had this ball gown, I had the roses, and I felt so alone. So alone. I will never forget that. But anyone looking would be like, wow, she just won this scholarship pageant and she's
Yeah.
doing really
That's what,
well and
yeah.
all these people are cheering her on, but I went back to my dorm room all by myself,
See,
all by myself.
see. Yeah. And so that is a combination of something you're missing. So
Mm,
you're not moving towards your grouping, hang out or whatever. You go back to your comfort zone because of something you're missing or something you're feeling. So
right,
it
right,
all goes back to you and, and whoever, this involves in you needing to have that time with yourself, that self work with yourself.
mm,
Is this where you want to be? Is it like, this was great. I did this great, but who I am as a person is being in that room alone and not going out. But if that is not the case, then you have to reevaluate and find out
right.
why do you have A, celebration, but now you're alone in B.
And alone and lonely are two different things.
Oh,
So at that
absolutely.
time,
Oh, absolutely.
I was very lonely. Now I could win an Oscar or a Nobel Peace Prize and go home to an empty house and I would be
Yeah.
just fine. I'd be
You were
like,
you had work to do. You had work to do. You
I
were
had work to do. I had work to do.
you had work to do on you. You were lonely for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you were
Because
lonely, not alone.
yes. Yeah, yeah. And once again, that's like the friendship thing has always been. I think people would assume that I have a lot of friends to turn to. And I
So
I
same
do.
here. We have that same energy. We are
Exactly.
very tight. We're loving. We're friendly. We have all of the things. We're smart. You would think that. And I believe that I say I'm an introvert. You say you're an introvert, but I think you add a little bit extra. You said that
I'm an
you're,
extroverted
yeah,
introvert. I haven't
yeah,
always been that way. I used to be very extroverted all the time. But as you said, as I have grown and started healing, I require so much time alone
yeah, me too.
so I can
Yeah,
show up on this show, so I can show up and speak in front of people or do a workshop or talk about hard things about race and culture. And I love that. But and I honestly, like, probably on one hand I can count people that I consider good friends. And I'm
see,
not
me
really
too. Yeah,
looking to expand that. When
I
I say
don't want to either.
I want
Yeah,
community, but I don't necessarily need best friends and
yeah,
someone to be there all the time.
right.
I want a community of like-minded people who I trust.
Yeah, like we have each other, but I'm with you on the friendship. The one hand, I've got the married couple in Columbus that I love to my core and
You trust
things
them with
for
your
them.
life.
Yep, my friend
You've told
here
me that.
and my friend out in Texas, right? And then my one friend in Mansfield that lost her husband, I would do anything for her. So it is, yeah, I definitely have a very small, so I don't want to branch that out. I feel like I found my niche, right? That
Right.
I can move out of this world one day and feel good.
You have, and
And
probably
feel
you, just like
complete.
me, if people come into our lives that are supposed to be deeply connected with us, oh, I am very welcoming
Yeah, yeah.
of someone with a soul connection, right? We talk about soulmates a lot, but we typically, our culture talks about them in a romantic or marriage type thing,
Mhm.
like that type of love. But I would say that your friends can be your soulmates.
I feel like it's so funny because my ones in Columbus, um, and not, to put, color into it, but with them being white and all, and it's so funny because they're like family to me. You would never like the husband always say, when my mother was alive, that I'm your son from another, and we laugh.
Yeah.
Um, but their kids were always my, niece and nephews, and then Nori became a part. And so it's so funny, like you, when you think of leaving your child, if something happened to you, I would leave my child. I wouldn't worry about, you would think, well, will she still be in touch with her culture because, they are a white family, right? I don't worry because they are just so perfect to me in every way and how they love my daughter. First of all, how they love me. That's the premise. Or even go back how they love my mother, right? So them just alone, just I could just have them and be good,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
know, yeah. So I do I just I do I would expand my circle out to look for further best friends, right? But I'm open to associates, right? But I love my circle the way it is. I trust my circle, right? It's just perfect for me in every way, right? I'm
Yeah.
still young, so I'm going to meet a lot more people, right? But that little, I keep, like my mother said, I keep that circle really tight and close
Hmm.
to me and not
And
letting.
I think we had talked about, and I forgot to look up her name, but the young Black woman that went to Mexico and was murdered by her friends.
Oh,
Like,
right.
we do have to be very careful who comes into our circle. And
Mhm.
I'd like to say, especially young people, but really any age, you have to have that. It's a little more difficult when you haven't lived life as long or as full of an experience.
Mhm.
Um, but there, it doesn't matter the age. Like, we need to be very careful who is in that inner circle.
Exactly. Exactly. And people aren't who you think they are. And that's what I have to keep teaching my daughter. People ain't, they're not who. I almost said ain't, but this
They
is
wear
the
a mask.
they ain't
You can say
who
ain't.
they
They
go like
you can
ain't
say
who
ain't.
they are, right? So yes, I have to make sure, like we went to the fair and then we're gonna wrap this up because like we could keep going as normal. And all Nori's friends said that they were gonna be there, but what I did, because I know what pain is like. I know what not showing up looks like, right? I kept saying, they may not show, Nori. Do you
Mm,
still want to go to the fair? She was like, yeah, yeah. I said, okay, do you want to still do the unlimited ride pass? Because just in case they don't show, maybe just get tickets and do, nope, nope, nope. They're going to show. They're going to show. And I was just like, but it may not happen. I heard you talking to your friend and it didn't really seem like she's going to show. And she's like, yeah, she'll show. We get to the fair. None of her friends showed up. And
oh
because I
no.
don't do well on rides anymore because of just being,
Me neither.
growing,
For
growing,
me, it's just because I'm old. That's
yeah,
my reason.
maturing. I don't do well on rides.
Maturing, maturing.
I couldn't ride with her. So my heart was broken every ride she got on and she was by herself. Here, my heart's broken, but here she is,
Oh,
I
so she
was
still
so
had
broken,
fun.
and I said, she gets off and I said, well, Nori, I said, your friend, I just kind of knew they were going to show up and I just hope she said, this is the best day ever, mommy. I'm here for
Oh,
and I
she
wish she
handled
could
it well.
ride, but this is the best day ever. And I was just like, oh, wow. Right.
Now, what
But I still try to let her know it's cold. For Atlanta, it was, our temperatures dropped a little bit yesterday. And so their parents may not wanted them to come out. Their parents may had some venue. obligations. I said, so there's
But none
probably
of her friends
reason.
let her know?
Yeah, no, no. But I don't want her to grow up with the disappointment I grew up with. So I try to add the layers of reasonability, to why something happened or didn't happen. So her
But you
mind is
had the
more
mother's
open.
intuition because it sounds
I
like you
did.
told her multiple times, hey, your friends
Yeah,
might not show up.
I
So
did.
something
Yeah,
in you kind of knew, are
yeah.
these what you would call friends for
That,
her?
exactly. No, no. And
Mm.
here's what was so cool. Here's what's cool. Nori is so much like her uncle Rob, right? He Rob goes places by himself a lot, and then he meets people. Like even if he came when we lived in Tennessee, he was, I'm going out somewhere. I'm like, you don't know anybody, right? And he actually went in a biker bar, and he was the only one of color in the biker bar, and because we lived out in the boonies of Tennessee, and I was just like, and I know where he went, and I said I would have never walked in that place, right?
Right.
And he comes back smelling like smoke, right? Because bikers, they were all smoking. Not to say all bikers smoke, but they was smoky. And I said, I just was worried about you. And he was like, I had the best time. They're like, man, next time you're in town, you make sure you come back in here, man. I was like, they like like, oh man, I had the best time. But the long story short, so Rob goes anywhere and meets people. Nori got on those rides and she was meeting people. She met two college girls and they were on rides with her and
Oh,
they knew about her. She knew about where they were going. And she was all huddled between them on the ride because she was scared. And they were like, I got you. And
oh,
they
that's so
got, they were like, we love
sweet.
her so much. She is all, you know what I mean? So Nori is her Uncle Rob, you know,
Yeah.
so I don't really worry about her because, she just meets people and just loves people as they are for the time that she
And
has them.
I
And
I
she's
do have
okay.
to I am the same way. And it took me a while to realize that being able to make friends anywhere I go is very different than having good friends.
Can we end it there?
Because I'll go out of the country by myself and I will
You
meet
do. You
I'll
do.
meet
You are
so many
another one
people.
like Rob that he stays in the country. You actually will go out the country and you will live in a wilderness, which you just did. Right? But you meet people, know people, and you are just fine. That's a little
And
more riskier than I.
well, but also it's a testament about who, like, I have met people in different countries that I still communicate with today. And I
Oh,
also have
that's
met people that I think, oh, we're going to be good friends, never hear from them again. So
see,
that's the difference between being able to be friendly in situations and meet people. But what you were saying, like, to me, from this conversation, it seems like a true friend is someone that you trust your life with. And you cannot do that with 99% of the people you meet.
no, you can't. 95. Absolutely, because you put the life in there. 95.
I put the life in there.
Yeah, yeah. You could trust your life with. You didn't say just trust. You said trust your life. And because
Yeah,
you added life, I'm going to say 95%.
I say 99%. I
Okay,
say
good.
only about I say only about 1% of people that you can trust your life with.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. Yes, that's perfect. I mean, I think we're good, right? Yeah, I think that's a message that we can end
Friends,
with. Yeah, many
come and see us have them. Friends. See, I was gonna let you talk and I was gonna be the background music. But yes,
Oh
you could join in.
my
Before
God.
we go any further, let's be
I'm
friends.
gonna tell yeah, y'all consider it. Consider who you are giving your time to and what level that
That's
you
what
want
friends are
that individual to
for.
be in.
Keep
You looking for a
shining,
best friend? You
keep
looking for a friendship?
flying.
Or
No,
are you looking for an associate? Or are you looking for just casual conversation moving on?
for sure. I'm your background singer. That's what friends are for.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Yes, we go into here. There again, this too could be another topic that we talk about later because there's so many other layers to it, right? So you don't be surprised if you hear us talking about it again. But
And we
really,
want to hear what you all have to say about it. Comment below. What is a friend to you?
oh, I would love to know. I want to know more.
I want to know.
Yeah. Kim, how do they get a hold of us? Like if they wanted to send us a private message, how break it down.
So, first, please like the video, share the video with all your friends or people who aren't your friends, and comment below. Let's, we want to know what did you think of the episode? What did you think of our stories? What do you consider a friend, right? And then you can email us at elevatingandempowering@gmail.com if you'd like to collaborate with us, be a guest, be on the show, be part of this craziness. So yes. And then we do have a brand new Instagram. And what is it? Elevating and Empowering.
You got it.
You can find us all the ways. All the ways.
Exactly. I mean, making the sign. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. We're going to bring more to you. And we love hearing from you. And we love spending this time with you. Till next show.
Bye, friend.
Bye, friends.